You might think that if someone truly cared about you, there would never be doubt, that love would be clear, effortless, and obvious. But the reality is far more nuanced. Sometimes the people who care the most are the ones who make us feel the most uncertain. You find yourself replaying conversations, rereading messages, studying their expressions, trying to determine if your feelings are justified or if you're imagining it. And that confusion can leave you feeling small, needy, like you're pleading for something that should be simple. But here's a critical insight. Confusion doesn't always equal rejection. Sometimes it's a protective mechanism. Sometimes it's fear dressed as hesitation. It doesn't mean they don't care. It means they are managing their own vulnerabilities while still being drawn to you. And before we go further, take a moment to ground yourself. You don't need endless tips or hacks. What you need are reminders. Reminders of clarity, truth, and respect for yourself. When your emotions start negotiating against your self-worth, pause, breathe, and remind yourself that your focus is your own life, your own growth, your own journey. Let's explore what it really looks like when someone loves you but isn't ready to make it obvious. Their care is present, but they hide it. They show devotion quietly, in the small choices they make, the subtle gestures they don't label as love. They move toward you, but their words resist vulnerability. That push and pull isn't confusion for the sake of drama, it's emotional complexity. It's a person balancing their desire with their fear. Many people believe that love should be loud, constant, and easy to read. But for those who have been hurt, betrayed, or controlled in the past, love is complicated. It's not about withholding, it's about caution. A woman who hides her feelings may be protecting herself, guarding her heart, and testing if the connection can withstand her vulnerabilities. She's not playing games, she's navigating safety while still being drawn to you. Understanding this changes the way you respond. The temptation is to chase clarity, to demand verbal affirmations, to interpret every pause and hesitation as a personal reflection of your worth. But chasing clarity like this flips the dynamic. It makes you the question instead of the answer. When you chase, you lose your own ground. You lose the stability that makes you attractive, that makes connection possible without anxiety. Instead, notice patterns rather than words. Observe how someone behaves when they think no one is paying attention. Watch how they respond to your energy, how they react to your calm, how they engage with the world while still keeping you in mind. Love often leaks in actions before it is spoken in words. Someone who cares will notice your routines, your moods, the things that matter to you. They will adjust, protect, and support, sometimes without ever framing it as love. If you learn to read these behaviors with clarity, you begin to understand the difference between genuine care and fleeting attention. You begin to distinguish between someone who is hesitant because they are protective and someone who is inconsistent because they are indifferent. This distinction is critical because your energy, your focus, and your self-respect are valuable. They should not be spent on guessing games, confusion, or attempts to force affirmation. They should be invested in alignment, mutual respect, and connection that grows naturally. The first step in this approach is observation without judgment. Instead of fishing for signs, stop asking questions that put your value in someone else's hands. Instead of validating yourself through their attention, anchor yourself in your own integrity and standards. Notice how they interact with you when there is no pressure, when there is no performance, when you are simply being yourself. That's where truth resides. True emotional intelligence in relationships is about seeing what is present, not projecting what you hope to find. It's about noticing the small consistencies, the attention to details, the subtle efforts, the protective gestures that quietly signal care. Love doesn't always announce itself with fireworks or grand declarations. Often it shows up quietly, in ways that require attentiveness, patience, and a grounded presence. And this is where many men go wrong. They mistake hesitance for rejection, they interpret protection for distance, and they allow anxiety to dictate their responses. When you allow confusion to dominate your emotions, you lose clarity and you begin trading your peace for affirmation. But when you approach these dynamics with steadiness, with calm observation, and with a clear sense of self-respect, you create a space where honesty becomes safe and love can emerge without coercion or performance. Now that you understand the foundation, let's get specific. There are patterns you can watch for, subtle ways someone expresses care while keeping words guarded. These are not random quirks. They are signals that reveal intention, attachment, and respect, all without demanding clarity through conversation. One of the most revealing signs is quiet observation. She notices you when you think no one is watching, not in a performative way, but in a reflective, attentive way. She sees how you behave around others, how you handle challenges, how you laugh, how you carry yourself when there's no audience. Love is often expressed in attention, in the way someone tracks your well-being and your character without requiring a display from you. But here's the caution: do not get high on these glances. When you start seeking validation from her attention, you shift from being steady to being reactive. That is when she senses dependence, and that's when the dynamic changes. Your focus must remain anchored in your own life, your own growth, your own mission. Another pattern is testing through small friction. She may pick minor fights or challenge you in subtle ways, not out of malice, but to gauge your stability. Can you remain calm under pressure? Can you maintain respect when emotions rise? Can you lead yourself rather than reacting to every jab? A grounded man responds with steadiness. He doesn't escalate, beg, or over-explain. He communicates clearly, maintains his boundaries, and then returns to his own focus. Emotional leadership is about consistency, not control. It's about being a presence that feels safe, not a person who chases every shift in mood. Memory and attention to details are also telling. She recalls things you casually mentioned, your preferences, your schedule, your anecdotes, your challenges, without making it obvious. She doesn't announce her care. She demonstrates it through subtle recognition. This is not coincidence. People remember what matters to them. When someone holds your life in their mind, even in small ways, that is devotion. The key is to notice without assuming it's casual or obligatory. Protection in subtle ways is another form of hidden care. She may correct misconceptions about you, include you in situations that matter, or gently check on your state of mind, all while appearing natural or practical. This is care that flows quietly with respect for your autonomy. It's different from controlling behavior. Protecting without limiting is love. Controlling is fear masked as affection. Recognize the distinction. Jealousy too may appear, but it is often cloaked in humor or indifference. She may tease about other connections, make light of situations where attention is divided, or act nonchalant while quietly tracking your loyalty. A man grounded in self-respect does not feed insecurity with validation-seeking behaviors. He observes and maintains his own consistency. He doesn't manufacture drama, and he doesn't exploit emotional reactions for ego. This steadiness reinforces safety, not chaos. You may also notice that she creates opportunities to be around you in ways that don't overtly demand emotional acknowledgement. She asks advice, seeks input, or shares tasks that require proximity. Repetition of presence is not casual friendliness, it is investment. A person who orbits without attachment is different from someone who repeatedly chooses connection. Recognizing this subtle investment allows you to differentiate genuine interest from polite interaction. Openness followed by retreat is another sign of hidden care. She may share a personal thought or vulnerability, then step back as if it never happened. This is not deception. Vulnerability feels risky, especially for someone guarding their heart. A man who responds with steadiness rather than panic encourages trust. He doesn't pressure for consistency. He maintains his own boundaries and pace. He shows that closeness does not equal loss of control, creating a safe container for emotional honesty to emerge naturally. Finally, notice how she responds to your withdrawal. When you pull back, she may step forward, but not with desperation. Her curiosity, her attentiveness, her subtle presence intensifies when she senses distance. This is her way of testing whether the connection has substance beyond performance. A grounded man does not respond with manipulative games or withdrawal tactics. He remains consistent, allowing her behavior to reflect genuine desire rather than reactions to anxiety. Beneath all of these behaviors is a delicate balance, the desire to be close versus the need to protect oneself. Recognizing this balance allows you to interact without compromising your self-respect. You don't need to decode her every move or interrogate her feelings. Instead, you focus on your own consistency, clarity, and growth. Your life is not a reaction to her mood. It is a steady foundation upon which true connection can emerge. Now let's focus on what you do with this understanding. Observing, noticing, and interpreting are only useful if they guide action rooted in self-respect. The most important principle is this: you do not exist to be chosen, you exist to choose. Your worth is not tied to someone else's validation, and your peace should never be negotiable. Stop fishing for reassurance. Stop asking questions like, "Do you like me?" or "Do you care?" Those questions place your value outside yourself. Replace them with observation and standards. Watch her actions over time, not her occasional words. Notice how she shows care consistently, how she behaves when you're not seeking her approval, and how she engages with life while holding space for you. Let actions, not words, be the measure of alignment. Communicate clearly, once. Say what you want, what you are available for, and what your boundaries are. Then step back, lead with consistency, not control. If she cannot meet that clarity, do not debate or persuade her into it. Maintain your pace, your purpose, and your principles. When she sees steadiness, honesty, and self-respect, it becomes safe for her to respond authentically. Groundedness disarms games. Insecurity thrives on chaos. Redirect your energy immediately when you feel anxiety or obsession creeping in. Move your body, focus on work, invest in skills, nurture friendships, spend time in sunlight, and cultivate presence. Desire without direction is a trap. It makes you reactive rather than magnetic. When your life is full, your focus is clear, and your energy is aligned, you become naturally chaseworthy. The chase is no longer about seeking validation. It's about living fully and inviting others to meet you there. Require respect in all interactions. If someone disrespects your boundaries, tests you with power plays, or plays games, step back. Not to punish, but to protect yourself. Be patient with fear, but uncompromising with disrespect. Stop romanticizing trauma or instability. You are not a therapist or a rehab center. You are a human being who deserves honesty, integrity, and reciprocity. Offer a clean door, not a cage. Invite connection that is real, consistent, and safe, not endless texting, ambiguity, or emotional labor. Reality filters quickly. Fantasy drags on endlessly. The deeper truth is this: if someone truly loves you but hides it, the solution is not becoming more available. The solution is becoming more grounded, more anchored, more present in your own life. When you embody stability, games lose their appeal, and honesty feels safe. You don't need to decode her love. You need to live in a way that makes authentic love possible. Sometimes, however, the signs are not hidden love. They may be attention-seeking or loneliness, and sometimes you are an option, not a choice. Being honest with yourself allows you to sense the difference. Love adds peace, it doesn't drain you. Love moves forward through consistency, not confusion. And your response to mixed signals determines whether you build emotional addiction or emotional freedom. This is your identity reset. You are not auditioning. You are not negotiating your self-worth. You are not decoding hints. You are a man who chooses direction, maintains standards, and lives a life of purpose. You exist to require truth, not to chase affirmation. You are the answer. The moment you stop begging for clarity is the moment you gain clarity. The moment you stop chasing is when you become magnetic. The moment you stop trading self-respect for uncertainty is when your life opens. If she loves you, she rises to your standard. If she doesn't, your peace replaces her absence. Invest in yourself, maintain your integrity, and build a life where honesty is natural and games are unnecessary. When your foundation is solid, when your mission, your body, and your mind are aligned, you attract connection that is genuine and reciprocal. That is where true love resides, not in hints, not in mixed signals, but in shared presence, mutual respect, and consistent alignment. You don't exist to be chosen, you exist to choose. Live that truth, stand in it. And everything else, including the love you seek, will follow. Not because you begged, chased, or decoded it, but because you became the man who embodies it.